Hello, friends. It's good to be here with you today. I am so excited for our topic today. I know I share that every single time, but it's because when I'm speaking with folks throughout the week and I'm hearing common themes coming up and I see a common theme arising, I get so excited to come on and to share about that and to help people get more clarity, get more freedom, get more of what they need so they can move past their stuckness. Hey, Renee, so glad that you're tuning in. I love it. So hello, I am Debbie, founder of Freedom Embodied Academy, and would love to know where you are tuning in here from today. And the topic that we are discussing today is how to stop the self-doubt, stop second-guessing yourself. We had a conversation earlier in the week in the Congruence Collective Facebook group. If you're not in the Congruence Collective Facebook group, come and join us over there. You can go to liveyourlight.today and come over and join us. But we were getting into this discussion of where in your life, what areas of your life you feel the most self-doubt. And a lot of the areas that came up were relationships, career, with myself, with my relationship with food, with my relationship with money. And so as you're tuning in today, just start to think about those areas with my relationship with parenting. I don't think that I've met a mom yet who's like, I'm completely confident with my ability to parent. Well, maybe one or two. But for the most part, I find there's a lot of second guessing when it comes to parenting. And so, as you're listening here today, maybe just put a word or two in the comment section of where you are. Hey, Wendy. Oh, so good that you're tuning in from Florida. Awesome, awesome. Just put a word or two of the areas of your life that you feel like are the most, that you find that you second guess or you doubt yourself the most in. And if you say you're going to say relationships, say what kind of relationships. And if you even are vulnerable enough, say like what that inner dialogue is, because we all have an inner dialogue. We all have an inner voice. I remember, well, first of all, let's face it, self-doubt and indecision comes up like every single day. And so what we're going to be talking about today is we're going to be talking about why we doubt ourselves in the first place, where that's coming from, and then what to do, 3 keys to actually stop self-doubting, 3 things to do. So we're going to be talking about that. And as I was thinking about today's topic, I was really remembering a time in my life. This was when I was a Pilates teacher. I was Pilates certified. I was working at a health club, seeing clients all day long, running around, back-to-back schedule. And I really, really deeply wanted to open my own Pilates studio. It was a dream of mine. The gym that I worked at was kind of like a boxing club. It was like a high-end boxing club, but it was definitely, like boxing, Muay Thai, kickboxing. And then they had a whole Pilates studio inside of the gym, which was fine. But I just had this dream of having a Pilates studio that was like feminine, that was just completely dedicated to helping women connect in their bodies and feel more connected to themselves. And I just had this whole vision. But I had this big inner voice of doubt, right? Have you ever had an inner voice of doubt where you have this desire to do something in your career, to do something, really in alignment with what you feel like your purpose is or what's really inspiring you, but then you're like, what if I don't make any money doing that? What if no one shows up? What if nobody likes me? What if I fail? What if I look stupid? What if I don't know enough about this? I had so much doubt when it came to this stuff. Hey, Sharon. And Paraskevi. Oh, beautiful. I hope that I'm not botching your name. I'm so glad that you tuned in. And Judy, hey, Judy, so glad that you're here. So I had all of this doubt. Tell me if you relate to that. Tell me if you relate to having that kind of self-doubt. Just say self-doubt in the comments where it's like, my heart is calling to do something in the world, but I don't think I have what it takes. And so at the time, the health club that I was working for, they were opening up a flagship location. And the CEO came to me and said, we're considering hiring you as the GM for this new flagship location. Now, on the one hand, that was this huge compliment, right? Huge compliment. Here I was, a Pilates teacher. I did not have an experience with doing that kind of a thing. But this little voice inside me was like, that's not what you want. That is not what you want. Have you ever gotten that little voice where it's like, that's not really what you want? You don't want to be doing what you're doing, but just bigger. You want to be doing what you want to be doing. You want to live your dream, right? But I had that feeling of self-doubt, that clutch of like, and so I convinced myself. So again, the rationalization came in. So tell me if you feel the doubt, you have a little voice that says, no. But then your mind starts rationalizing, and I'm like, well, maybe I should work as a GM for this big fancy health club for a little while and get the experience under my belt. And then I'll have the experience, I'll have the confidence, and then I'll open my Pilates studio. Who's done the rationalization thing before? So tell me, if you have had this self-doubt, you have a little inner voice, it's like, actually, this is really the indication of your truth. You ignored it, right? So self-doubt, put in the comments, self-doubt, inner voice, and then rationalization. If you've had that little trifecta before, just put that in the comments, or you can put trifecta in the comments. Okay, so if you've had that before, you know what I'm talking about. And that's what I did. I decided to take this position. And you know what's interesting is I took the position and then I reneged on the position because my inner guidance was like, this is not, my whole system was like, this is not in alignment. But then I went back and I'm like, no, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. And so I did. And let me just tell you, this is when I plummeted into the depths of my addictions. Plummeted. My food addiction was worse than it had ever been. I went so far in my food addiction, I could not stop. I would restrict during the day, trying to be good, being busy, drinking coffee and eating almonds and running around like a chicken without my head so that I, didn't have to eat. I'd come home at night feeling totally depleted, totally exhausted, totally deserving to have whatever I wanted. I would binge. I would have minimum 2 plates of dinner. It was usually healthy, but I just wouldn't stop once I started. I would usually actually just make something and then just stay eating it right out of the, the pan on the stove. You ever done that? What's the point? I'm just going to eat it all here, and then would go and finish with something, sweet, and then it's the chocolate, and it's the salty, and then it's the whole thing. The food was just out of control. The workaholism was out of control. The people pleasing was out of control. I lost my period. My body was I was in complete adrenal burnout. I had chronic pain all the time. I was in my mid-20s, okay? Chronic pain, adrenal burnout, lost my period, was showing markers for an autoimmune disease. All of this came on because I was living so out of alignment. So if you recognize a time in your life, and maybe you're living it right now, where you feel like you are living out of alignment with what you know your truth to be, that self-doubt has you holding back on living the life that you truly desire, then just put out of alignment in the comments. We're not here to judge. We're just here to create a sense of you're not alone. You're absolutely not alone. We get you. And in today's training, in today's video, we're going to be diving deeper into how we're getting ourselves into all of this in the first place and how to get out of it. So what I'll share with you about that for me is that I had to get to a place where I just had to get honest with myself. The way that I was doing my life was not working. Even though I was able to show up and put on a happy face and smile and be positive and had lots of information and, was able to help other people with the information that I had and, was kind of trying to keep it together. I wasn't deeply fulfilled on the inside. I felt empty on the inside. I had to get honest about that. I had to be willing to set that aside of nope, I'm just going to push harder with this strategy that I'm working right here. I'm just going to push harder. And, and that realization, it was hard. It was hard and it was humbling. And it had me for the first time really considering, gosh, maybe I don't have the answer here. Maybe I don't know. And it was a different kind of self. It wasn't the self-doubt. It was like an inner admittance to myself. Like, gosh, I need some help. I don't have the answer here, or at least I'm not accessing the answer here. I feel blocked from the answer. I need some help. And it inspired me to reach out. It inspired me to ask for some help. And I met this woman. She came into my life at the right time. And they say that when the student's ready, the teacher appears. That's what happened for me. She was a spiritual mentor. She wasn't a business mentor. And yet she came in and she showed me what I was missing that was keeping me stuck in my pattern. And she guided me on how to get free from the deeper stuff that was blocking me. I didn't even know that there was deeper stuff that was blocking me from really having that level of inner trust. I didn't know any of that stuff. But when I was able to get free from those things, that's when I was able to come back to a place of inner trust, of connecting with myself, of even being able to trust and rely on that inner guidance, that little voice coming from inside. I had to get free from all of the noise and all of the stories and all of the fears and all the rationalizations that were blocking me from being able to follow through with what that inner voice is telling me. And when I did that, it was incredible, because what happened for me, it wasn't like, oh my God, I feel so confident, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna rule the world. It wasn't like that at all. Like, we think that that's how confidence works. Confidence is not bravado. True confidence is quiet. True confidence is courage. It's courage to do something in spite of your fears. It's willingness to put yourself out there, even if you fail, even if you mess up, even if things don't work out the way that you think they're supposed to. And so I remember that decision to leave that work and to open my Pilates studio. I remember that decision, and I was scared. I was absolutely scared. I wasn't full of bravado confidence. I was scared, and I was humbled, and I was willing. I was inspired and willing and humbled and scared, and I did it. And I opened this Pilates studio, and it was incredible. And I got to help so many thousands of people, right? Coming into and out of the studio. I never would have had that opportunity. And so this is why I'm such a stand for you being able to move beyond your self-doubt, because there is a dream, there is a life that you want to be living, whether it is to be in partnership, because for those of you who have had doubts about, will I ever find a partner? Am I too much? Am I not enough? What's wrong? Am I just not the right? I thought all those things. I thought I was too much of the wrong things. I'm too high maintenance. I need too much alone time. I'm too complicated. I'm not fun enough. I'm not spontaneous enough. I'm not, carefree enough. I'm just not the right kind. I just don't think that I'm the dating. I don't think I'm the marrying type. I had all those stories. If you've got any of that stuff, this conversation is for you. P.S. By the way, my partner and I that we met last year, and we're celebrating our year anniversary in a month from now. So it does happen. It does work. And that was after 7 years of being single. So it does work. But I just want to share with you today. Obviously, we're not going to be able to go into all of the aspects that are going to be required for you to come into that deep place of inner trust and guidance. But gosh darn it, I'm going to highlight some of the key pieces that I really, really want for you to walk away with today. So if you're excited about all of that, then say, I want to know. Just say, I want to know. I want to know. Hey, Mia, gosh, it's been a long time. It's so good to see you. Renee, finances, relationships since divorce, and parenting, for sure. Yes, absolutely. Lack of motivation, depression. Yes, since the loss. Oh my gosh, so sorry, Wendy. Thank you for sharing that. And Jen, so honored that you are here. Yep, absolutely. We're all in this together. Thank you so much. And Catherine, I'm glad that you're joining in as well. So let's dive in here and let's talk about what has us doubting in the first place. So, for those of you who've listened to some of my trainings in the past and some of my videos and have kind of been in my world for a while, you might have heard me speaking about something called compartmentalization conflict. And I'm just going to share really quickly here because I find that this is really where the inception of our self-doubt comes from. So compartmentalization conflict, all it really is referring to is at one age or stage in your life, and think about this, one age or stage in your own life, you stopped living authentically. You started believing that you weren't enough of what you were supposed to be, or maybe you were too much of what you weren't supposed to be, or maybe you just weren't the right kind. You stopped being your way and you started trying to play by somebody else's rule book. And maybe that came from a very specific traumatic event that happened. But in my experience, it's usually from lots of millions and millions of little micro moments that happen across time where you just sort of start editing yourself. You start censoring yourself. You start playing a different role instead of being who you're really here to be. So if you relate to compartmentalization conflict, just put CC in the comments so that I know that you are with me on this level. And the reason why I'm bringing it up right now is because when we have compartmentalization conflict, three things occur. The first thing that happens is that, just like I said, we get disconnected from our authenticity, right? The second thing that happens is that our head and our body get disconnected. We literally cut ourselves off from our bodies and we start living up in our heads. I'm going to circle back to this one because this is so important for us to get. But if you can think about, gosh, do I find myself up in my head a whole lot? Do I find myself analyzing and trying to figure things out a lot? Do I have a tendency to be overwhelmed or anxious or obsessed? If you say yes to any of those questions, then you can guarantee that you are living somewhat disembodied and living up in your head. And we're going to circle back to that one because it's super important. But the third thing that happens that is so vital with compartmentalization conflict is that we get disconnected from our inner guidance system. We get disconnected from our inner guidance system. We get disconnected from that gut instinct, that intuition, that divine inspiration. We lose our confidence in that inner voice. This is so important, right? And you can see how that happens because if all of a sudden I feel like I'm not enough or whatever's going on inside here isn't right, then it's going to cause me to project myself into the outside world and say, well, what do you all think about me? What do you all think about this? I can't trust what's going on in here because I'm inherently wrong, bad, or not enough, or too much, or whatever. I can't trust any of this stuff inside. And so what it does is it makes us dependent on external influences. So if you're relating to any of this, here's the term that I want you to put in the comments because this is a very important thing for us to all get. If you feel like your inner sense of yes or no or worth or value or is this okay or is this the right decision, if you feel like all of that stuff, which ideally is going on internally, if you feel like somehow all of that has been displaced out of you and you are more likely to call 5 people, you're more likely to sit in indecision, you're more likely to walk around holding back and hiding yourself and playing small because you don't want to make the wrong decision. If you find yourself doing more of that, then the term that I refer to with that dynamic is called being caught up in the external feedback loop. So if you relate to any of that, you can put EFL in the comments. EFL essentially means that my sense of worth and value and right and wrong and identity and my decisions, all of that is displaced outside of me, and now external influences are determining my truth. External influences. So an example of this is like if your sense of worth and value exists outside of yourself, then If somebody doesn't text you back and you feel like you're not important, that's an example of how your sense of worth and value is projected outside of yourself. If you have this deep desire inside of yourself to want to put yourself out there and shine your light and be more visible and be more vocal, but you have this head trip that's like, you've got nothing to say, no one cares, and you're gonna sound stupid, you're gonna get judged, and so you are holding back on putting yourself out there, that's another example of being caught up in this external feedback loop, right? And so if you're relating to being caught up in the external feedback loop, yep, we're getting some of that EFL stuff, we're getting some of the compartmentalization conflict, absolutely, this is the stuff. So if you're relating to that stuff, then I really want you to listen up here, because what we're gonna be talking about today, the 3 keys I'm gonna be sharing with you are going to be addressing these 3 areas that I just got into, and the 3 things that compartmentalization conflict cuts us off from. Let me be more clear. And this is all going to support you in coming back into a place of deep inner trust. So let's dive in. So the first thing, oh, and you know what, actually, before we do, sorry, you're like, ah! The other thing that I want to say about when we are projecting, when we've got this doubt inside and so we project into the external feedback loop, the other thing that happens, and this is also something that you can just notice, you can watch for and you can notice, and you can recognize that this is you as well. We either become overly dependent on the outside, or because we're stuck living in our heads, we become overly controlling, or a combination of them both. So if you noticed yourself trying to like rely on yourself, but then all that does is you just endlessly being in your head, trying to figure things out, not asking for help, right? Being totally obsessed, thinking that it's wrong and bad. You don't want to be weak. You don't want to ask other people. You don't want to be all weak and victim-y and dependent. So you're trying to do everything by yourself. That's the other thing that happens when we are disconnected from our inner guidance and we're full of self-doubt. So that operating platform, we've got the external feedback loop operating platform, and then we have this sort of like up in the head obsessive loop operating platform. Neither of those are really connected to your deep truth. So if you recognize yourself in the control pattern, in addition to the EFL pattern, you can put control pattern in the comments as well, because what I have found is that every single one of us has this stuff. Every single one of us has this stuff. It's just, are we willing to get honest about how these themes are showing up in our lives? And because it gets more nuanced as we go. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna say about that. And let's get into the first key here, because this key is all about really helping you to bridge that gap, get your head and your body reconnected. Okay, so when you are up in your head all of the time, here's what happens. We're actually usually in this sort of part of our awareness. Like, think about this right now. Start thinking about your to-do list right now. Think about all the things that you have to do. Think about if I all of a sudden put the mic on you and I said, okay, share right now. And you're like, okay, what am I gonna say? Oh my God, am I like stupid? Da, 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 da. Like all that, you feel all that stuff that's going on right now? Okay, do you see how it like just brought you right up into your head and even kind of like outside of your body? Do you feel that? Like all of a sudden you're like, your mind's going a million miles a minute and it's like the nerves are happening, all this kind of stuff. This is how we are operating all day long when we are not in our bodies, when we are not connected inside of our bodies. The very nature of not being in our bodies and being up our head has us feeling anxious, inadequate, disconnected, full of self-doubt, right? Because we're not connected from our heart's desire, we're not connected to our gut, we're not connected to the fullness of who we are. We're walking around in this little like, tiny compartment of our heads, and it can have us feeling really inadequate. And so the first key that is so, so important is to connect into your body. And I'm going to be even more specific with you. Connect in with the center of your body. Now, Here's what's really important about this. Because of like new age stuff and all the personal development stuff, we have erroneously labeled the heart as our center, right? Come back to heart center, right? This is what we do, okay? The heart is not the center of ourselves, okay? The center of ourselves, our center of gravity, exists in our pelvis. It exists in sacrum too. Why am I sharing this? Because I want you to take your awareness right now. So we're up in this sort of snow globe, like things are crazy up in the head. I want you to imagine your awareness. I want you to imagine it just starting to sink all the way down. Like if you were going to drop a little pebble into a glass of water and you just watch that little pebble sink all the way down, 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 all the way down your torso and land down at the bottom of your pelvis. At the bottom of your pelvis. Yes. Take a breath and just feel this little pebble at the very bottom of your pelvis. Yes. Welcome to your pelvic floor. So this part of your body, you can stay there. You can stay in the awareness of the pelvis at the bottom of the glass or at the bottom of your pelvis. So this area of our bodies is where we actually drop into a state of presence inside of ourselves. Now, this is something that, in my experience, we will constantly rebound out of. So this place is what will have us feeling grounded and connected to ourselves, and it's very hard. We have to train ourselves to come back into this place. Otherwise, we're bouncing all back up into our head constantly. When you can cultivate the capacity to live and be and move in the world from this grounded place within inside of yourself, from this present place inside of yourself, you have access to a sense of inner guidance that is linked to your gut instinct. It's linked to your sixth sense. It's like you start to just feel what's right for you. You start to feel things in a different way because you're connected inside of yourself. The other thing that it does is that when you are connected in this area, in the center of your body, it calms your whole system. Your nervous system calms down. That's going to calm anxiety, right? That's going to allow you to take deeper breaths. And all of that is going to support you in mitigating the constant ticker tape of self-doubt and fear that's going on. You just feeling more rested and connected inside of yourself. It's incredible what this aspect of embodiment can do. So what I want to do right now is I want to just share with you a tool. I know those of you who are in the Freedom Embodied Academy, don't worry, sisters, you're going to be learning all this. You're going to be doing all this stuff. Don't even worry, you're in the right place. If you are not in the Freedom Embodied Academy and you want a tool, I want to support you. I have an instant embodiment reset guide. If you go to bepresent.today, bepresent.today, you can download this instant embodiment reset guide, totally free guide for you, and it'll have I think there's 5 top embodiment practices, and it shows you when to use them, how to use them, and specific instructions to support you. And I actually have a guided embodiment practice to support you with connecting into your pelvic awareness in an even more powerful way. So definitely go and check that out, bepresent.today. It's going to support you with this embodiment piece. And I want to touch on the next piece here because we've been speaking about the next key. We've been speaking about this external feedback loop, okay? And if you relate to the external feedback loop, if you relate to that compartmentalization conflict, if you relate to looking to the outside to inform the inside, if you relate to all this stuff, then what we need to do here is we need to move from the external feedback loop into your internal guidance system. Gotta come back and bring it in. Now, the internal guidance system, I'll just share really briefly here. The internal guidance system is a 3-part system. It's a combination of that gut instinct that we just spoke about, of your intuition, of your sixth sense intuition, and of divine inspiration, that still small voice that's speaking to you and through you, right? We need to regain access to all this stuff. And so again, that is a deeper journey. I want to give you 3 tools right now that can support you in bridging that gap of moving from this like dependence or up in your head or all this kind of like what other people think about me defines my sense of self, my sense of worth, my sense of value. I can't make decisions. I don't want to move forward in my life. We want to we want to have you stop outsourcing your sense of power and guidance and have you resource that sense of power and guidance so that you can operate from inner truth, inner trust. Who wants to operate from inner trust? You want to operate from inner trust? Just put inner trust in the comments. So I want to support you with how to make that happen. I've got lots of tools on this. It's something I'd love to go deep in with clients, but what I want to share with you here are the 3 ways, 3 windows into helping you connect in with what your true, authentic inner guidance is guiding you to do. Is you can ask yourself these 3 questions. Does this inspire me? Am I inspired from a very deep level? Not, is this rational, right? You can hear the difference. Is this rational? Is this logical? Does this make sense to outside people? Is this going to keep me looking good or avoid getting hurt or, you know, like not threatened in any way, right? So there's a difference when decisions are coming from that place versus, do I feel deeply inspired by this? Is this inspiring me? Okay. The second question you can ask is this moving me? Sometimes it's inspiration, but it's also moving you into action. Like you literally want to get up off the couch. You want to call someone. You want to get up off the couch. You want to attend a seminar. You want to actually get into, you want to move. You want to dance. It actually physically, you want to sing. It like generates physical action from your body. That's something that will always be that will always be a true key to guide you back to yourself. So does something inspire you? Like, I'm inspired to put myself out there on Match.com. I'm inspired. I'm moved to put myself out there. The third one is do what scares you. Do what scares you. I'm scared to put myself out on Match.com, right? You know, but I feel like there is something inside. I could tell you right now, I was moved and inspired and scared to open up that Pilates studio, but I knew it was in alignment with my inner. I knew it, and so this is so important, and it's going to spill into the third key that I want to get into with you here. But I want to spend a moment here. I want to really make sure that you get this part, because it's going to be vital for you to shift out of whatever that pattern is, whatever that pattern of people pleasing is, whatever that pattern is of proving yourself or of looking to the outside to inform the inside. And one of the ways that you can start to cultivate that inner trust is to follow the breadcrumbs of where your own inner inspiration, where your inner fears are coming from. All that stuff is actually guiding you to what is true and authentic and so vulnerable. And it's like it just needs to be fostered. It needs your love and attention. It needs your love and attention. And so one thing that I think is so important with this number 2 key is that you be willing to try these things, even if you mess up, even if you look bad, even if you get judgment. Like, we will never, ever live the life that we desire if we are hiding and holding back and never, ever taking a risk. And so if something scares you, and I'm not talking about like, oh, snakes scare me. I'm talking about like, you know what I'm talking about. Like, I want to put myself out there. I want to create a website. I want new clients. Or I want to put myself out there. I want to be in a relationship. Or, you know, I want freedom. I want freedom. I want next level freedom. I want time freedom. I want money freedom. I want freedom from food, whatever that thing is. But I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm scared of failing. I'm scared of hiding. I'm scared of holding back. All these things, I just say that is an indication of your inner guidance. Follow it. Follow it. And if you aren't sure how or where to start, then reach out and ask for some support. Reach out and ask for some guidance. This is not reaching out and asking for guidance is when you are like, hey, I want to get back to me and I don't even know how to. That's where I was for a long time. And that brings me back, that brings me to key number 3. Because here's the thing is that we need to come back to our inner guidance. And here's the truth. Here's the truth for me. I can't speak for you, but if you're relating to what we're talking about here, then you might want to listen up to this too. Is that in my experience, I was blocked from my inner guidance. I was blocked by the things that were weighing heavy on me inside, by my fears, by my delusional beliefs, by my negative thought patterns, by my shame and my all of the stuff that was like weighing down on me, my guilt and all the stuff, it was weighing down on me inside and it was blocking me from that inner guidance. And so key number 3 is that you've got to get free from those things that are hijacking your ability to follow your inner guidance. Because I can tell you right now, your inner guidance is coming through. I mean, I can ask you right now, there's many of you that are probably listening to this saying, hey, I'm feeling this guidance to do this. In fact, if you have an inner guidance that you can hear, you're just like in the sort of the fear or the doubt about actually following through with it, then just share what your inner guidance is telling you. Because my experience, it's not that we're not hearing our inner guidance. It's not that we're not hearing it. It's that we don't have the confidence to follow through with it. We don't have the courage to follow through with it. And so this really brings me to key number 3. Key number 3 is to get free from those things that are blocking you. Again, if you're in the academy, you are going to be doing this stuff. You don't need to seek this stuff out. But if you aren't in the academy, I want to support you with how to get on this path, because it can be daunting. And I'm not talking about being in therapy for 10 years and trying to work on yourself and figure stuff out. I'm not talking about any of that. There's some very, very simple things. And the first simple thing to do is to be willing to get honest with yourself. Honesty will immediately put you on the path to getting free from this pattern. Honesty will really support you. And so get honest with yourself. Is the way that I am being with this area of my life, is the way that I'm being in my life, is it working for me? Is it working? And if it's not working, then the only thing that I can invite is the only thing that worked for me was being willing to ask for some help. Being willing to ask for some help to get back to you. And, you know, when you're considering asking for some help, what is really, really important is that you are asking for help in order to get back to you. That you're not reaching out in order to be dependent on others' opinions and perpetually needing to rely on others. But that you are asking for, hey, can you share with me and show me where my blind spots are? Can you share with me and show me what I'm missing here? Can you help me? Can you guide me through how I can get free from these things so that I can truly regain access to myself? That's what you want to be looking for. That's what you want to be looking for. And so I hope these 3 things here, connecting inside of your body, connecting in with your inner guidance system, following where your inspiration is lying, following where your fear is lying, coming back to that place inside of yourself and being willing to raise your hand and ask for some support so that you can truly get free from the things that are blocking you and come home to yourself. Because this is when you are able to truly, like earlier today, I had a question come up. I mean, self-doubt comes up every single day. And I immediately got grounded inside of myself. I said a prayer, I listened, I got guidance, and the guidance was do nothing right now, which is fine, right? Sometimes your guidance says like, do nothing right now, wait for more information to come through. That's so great, that's so great. But I didn't have to sit in the anxiety and the tension of the indecision. And that's what I want to support you with more than anything. So if you heard something here today that was valuable for you, please post and share what that is. If you would love some support, if I can help you any further on this path of moving past your self-doubt, it would be my absolute honor to do that. Feel free to schedule some time with me. You can go to getsupport.today, getsupport.today. And bottom line is, I want you to be living in alignment with your inner truth, to not be holding back, and to go out and to shine your light authentically, because there are people who are waiting for you and your gifts, who are waiting for your message, who are waiting for your love. And it's time for you to be who you're here to be so that you can show up in that way. So thank you for taking this time out and spending it with me. I hope it was valuable for you. And again, if there's any way that I can serve you, please reach out. You can schedule some time with me, getsupport.today, and I will connect more with you very soon. Bye for now.